All right, let's jump right in. So in the world of military aviation, you've probably heard a ton about China's J-20 stealth fighter, but then you start hearing about the J-20A and the J-20S, and suddenly things can get a little confusing. Are these just, minor tweaks, or are these letters pointing to something much, much bigger?
Right, you've got one basic jet, but it's got 3 different labels slapped on it. So what is the real difference between them? That's the exact question we're going to unpack today.
And believe me, the answer is way more interesting than you might think. We're not just talking about adding a letter to the name here. Each of these variants represents a totally different way of thinking about air combat, a whole new strategy. So to really understand the jets, you have to understand the why behind them. Okay, so to really get this, we gotta rewind a bit and start at the beginning. Let's take a look at the foundation for all of this, the original early production J-20.
You see, with the very first J-20s, the name of the game was speed. Not just speed in the air, but speed in getting this thing operational. The main goal was just to get a stealthy, long-range fighter out to the Air Force as fast as humanly possible, even if it wasn't 100% perfect right out of the box.
And if you look at how it was built, it tells a really clear story. They absolutely prioritized the core stuff, the stealth, the range. But other really critical components, like the engines and the mission systems, they were basically placeholders, just temporary fixes. And that meant the whole operational concept was, well, pretty conservative. This jet was a learning platform, a way for pilots to get their hands on a 5th-gen fighter and figure out how to fly it.
Okay, so once they had that basic jet flying and the pilots were getting the hang of it, what's the next logical step? Well, you refine it, you perfect it, and that, right there, brings us to the J-20A. The J-20A is what you could call the finished product of that original idea. It's the enhanced, single-seat version where the goal wasn't just to have a stealth fighter, but to absolutely perfect its role as a lethal air dominance machine, all in the hands of one pilot. And you can see exactly how they pulled this off when you look at the upgrades. All those placeholder parts? Gone. They've been swapped out for seriously upgraded engines, better power and cooling to run all the new gear, way more advanced sensors, and improved electronic warfare systems. All of that means the jet can fly higher, stay on station way longer, and confidently take on targets from well beyond visual range. And really, this all boils down to one single powerful idea, which this quote just nails. The J-20A is about making one pilot more lethal. It's all about empowering that one person in the cockpit to be the most effective fighter pilot they can possibly be.
But then, things took a turn. A really interesting turn. This next step wasn't an upgrade, it wasn't a refinement. No, this was like a whole new branch growing off the family tree. Let's talk about the J-20S.
So that S on the end, that means something huge, a second seat. This is a 2-crew jet, and adding that one extra person, well, it completely changes the entire job of the aircraft. It stops being just a fighter and becomes this flying command and control center.
So you're probably asking, what's that second person even doing back there? Are they just along for the ride? Absolutely not. Think of them as the quarterback of the mission. While the pilot is flying the plane, that second crew member is managing the entire battle, coordinating complex electronic warfare, and, this is the real game changer, commanding a whole squadron of loyal wingman drones.
And this is where it gets really cool. Remember how the J-20A was all about making one pilot more lethal? While the J-20S is, as our source puts it, all about adding a second brain to the mission. See the difference? One is about a better weapon, the other is about a better mind. It's a totally different philosophy. All right, so let's pull all of this together. We've got these 2 very different jets that grew from the same root. One is the ultimate single-pilot fighter, and the other is a 2-person flying command center. Let's put them right next to each other and see how these 2 jets are built for 2 totally different missions.
It's really this simple. On one side, you've got the J-20A, what we're calling the lethal loner. It's a single pilot jet, its mission is pure air dominance, and its goal is to make that pilot more lethal. But on the other side, you've got the J-20S, the second brain. It's a 2-crew jet, its mission is orchestration, and its goal is to add strategic depth to the entire fight.
So if you were an Air Force general, how would you decide which one to get? Well, this table lays it out perfectly. You don't choose one over the other. If you need sheer numbers for your day-to-day air superiority missions, you buy the J-20A. But if you need that critical layer of command, control, and electronic attack, you need the J-20S. They're designed to work together as a team. And here it is, maybe the simplest, most powerful way to understand the difference.
The J-20A builds your force. It adds more fighters, more combat power. But the J-20S, it multiplies your force. It makes every single other plane in the sky more effective. One adds, the other multiplies.
And all of this leaves us with a huge, lingering question about the future of air combat. As warfare gets more and more networked, more about drones and data, what becomes more important? The incredibly lethal single fighter, or the second brain that can control the entire swarm? The story of the J-20 shows us exactly how one of the world's biggest military powers is betting on both. Thanks for watching.